Got it.
How are you?
Got it.
Dan, what's up, buddy?
So this is the first podcast from Phoenix, Arizona. It is 5:11 p.m. I think it's 8:11 for you guys on the East Coast. So it's just funny talking to you, and I can see how dark it is right now. So it's a little weird, but the weirdest thing is waking up really early is what all three of us are used to, and being up before anyone feels kind of good. And knowing that both of you have 3 hours ahead of me every day just drives me insane. So
Can't be the first one. Get that early morning running. Must kill you.
Yeah, at like 3 a.m. So
Seriously.
I was gonna say, actually, after the call I had with you last night, I feel like you're gonna start waking up like maybe just stay up till like 2, get a nice run in, put a little Instagram up. You're really gonna beat the crowd, Maybe take a nap.
Yeah. But
gotta get that whoop strain up.
I know.
Yes.
I got my whoop, man. Do you have a whoop?
You got the 4? Hell yeah. You got the 4.0?
I don't.
No. Reserve
But
mine too.
all right. So to kick this off, we got a good friend of mine. We met a couple of years ago. Great guy, a strength coach at Bryant University. Very impressive. I think I saw it on Instagram out of nowhere. I was like, oh, I didn't see that you got hired by Bryant. So very impressive. Division I, baby. So highest level. So I want to welcome Steve Dowling. Nice to see you. Again, I haven't seen you in forever.
It's been a while. I don't think we've actually seen each other in person. It has to be like over a year, to be completely honest with you. But I know we've had a lot of FaceTime calls. Nice to talk to you again. Nice to meet you, Jake. Honored to be on the podcast. Sure. The first one from Arizona.
Absolutely. Hell yeah. No, thanks for being with us. I know how busy your schedule can get and everything. But just to kick it off, you want to just let everyone know what you do right now, and then we'll kind of start at the origin later.
Yeah, of course. So right now, currently a strength coach at Bryant University, just like Dan said. Started about a month ago, early August, moved down to Smithfield, Rhode Island, beautiful Smithfield. And I've been loving it so far. I didn't exactly know the route I wanted to go after I graduated from Merrimack on my master's in exercise and sports science. The same exact program Dan went through. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, kind of tested out some personal training over the summer. An opportunity came up about like mid-June. Sent my application in. I've loved it since. Right now I'm working mainly with men's soccer, volleyball, softball, and golf. My main primary goals right now, but helping out with everybody: football, baseball, men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse. So I love being able to work with a bunch of different sports. Kind of different than what I've done in the past at colleges. So it's been refreshing with a small staff, getting to know hundreds and hundreds of athletes. But that's currently where I'm at right now. And just getting ready. Fall seasons are upon us. It's getting busy, but it's been awesome so far.
Oh yeah,
man.
So, go ahead, Jake.
No. I was just gonna say you're talking about what you're doing now, which is it's awesome. Like we're absolutely fired up to kind of hear the current. I think like with the podcast, we kind of just like getting a little bit of the story. So tell us where you're from, kind of how you got into the strength and conditioning world as a whole. Maybe like through the origin a little bit.
Yeah, of course. So I'm from Peabody, Massachusetts, about 15 minutes north of Boston. Perfect location in my opinion, like right close to the city. Can go get there in like 20 minutes. Also right next to the beach. So kind of get the best of both worlds there. So my kind of route to strength conditioning, a little like unorthodox, I would say, just because I honestly still consider myself like very new to the field. I didn't have my first internship till 2 years ago. So started out, obviously just my love for sports brought me to athletics in general, playing sports in high school, just a huge fan of watching sports. So right off the bat, going into college, I knew I wanted to work in athletics in some type of way. Just didn't really know how that was going to be. So always loved science, loved anatomy. That just kind of where my passion was in high school. So start off, hey, I want to do like athletic training. Bridgewater State was an awesome school, great athletic training program. So just like Dan's a fellow alum, started my first 2 years at Bridgewater State doing athletic training. Um, but just really wasn't me. Just going through all the observation hours, doing some clinicals. Um, just wasn't my passion, wasn't really there with that. So kind of did some soul searching a little bit. Figured I want to go like the PT route, physical therapy, maybe occupational therapy. That's where the money is nowadays. And kind of it's what you hear. Hey, try out PT, try out OT, just because they make so much money. So transferred to Salem State, went into the exercise science program my junior year with the goal of trying to get into PT school once I graduated with my bachelor's. And same thing, going through PT clinics, observation hours, just didn't really feel it myself. I couldn't see myself with the future doing that, you know? So from that route, I'm in probably my junior year right now. I don't really know what I want to do, to be honest with you. Started about like thinking about not even like finishing school at some points, maybe just becoming a firefighter. That was a serious option for like a couple months, to be honest with you. Then I just decided to do what I really love. I've always loved fitness, love working out. Didn't really know this was even an option for a career path until my first internship at Epic Fitness. It's a small little private strength and conditioning facility in Danvers, Mass. My buddy Tad Biker, he owns it. And it was really my first introduction into the strength and conditioning world. And immediately I just fell in love with it. And that was the first time I did something and I could legitimately see myself having a future in it. So I think that was like a big breakthrough for me going into my senior year of college. That was my first taste into the private setting and kind of wanted to get a taste of the college setting. So threw out some applications, ended up getting an internship at UMass Lowell and kind of took off from there. So ended up getting my master's, obviously, from Merrimack College in exercise and sports science. And it's kind of how it all started for me. Just a random internship at one of my buddy's facilities kind of just drew this passion and drew this love for what I'm doing right now. So took a while, but we got there.
It's so funny because a lot of people have such, like you said, unorthodox way of getting where they were, specifically in the sports field. And to go to your point, when you start at Bridgewater, I don't know if I've told you this story, Jake. When I applied to Bridgewater, I said I want to go for athletic training, thinking I was gonna train athletes, and that is just not what you do. That's what the strength coach does. If for the listeners, athletic trainers are kind of like, let's call them the first aid to when an athlete gets hurt, as well as prepares them before the games and helps them recover after.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that was, I found that kind of funny how you went kind of for athletic training and did the clinicals and working at a PT spot as well. I know that you said you had some interest there. A lot of the interns that I've met over the years at the PT place I used to work at tend to love it or hate it. And it depends on the population you're working with, because I think although yes, the money is there, you got to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for your DPT to become a doctor in physical therapy.
Lots of schooling, lots of money. It really is. It's
exactly.
a lot.
And so I found out that through some of these interns going through PT school, it can be just too slow, right? Like you're helping someone walk after an ACL injury 20 yards and you have to stand by their side over those course of a month. And like, that's just too slow for me. I'm assuming that's kind of the idea you had about
100%.
the PT stuff. So can you just talk a little about what turned you off to it? Because I'm curious.
That had a lot to do with it. I don't know. I love working in a team setting. That's what I love. I love being a part of a team. I think that's what draws me to the college setting a little bit in strength conditioning. That's always what's drawn me to athletic. Just a bunch of people going towards one goal, working hard towards one. I don't know. I just love the team setting.
Yeah.
I didn't really get that in PT. It's all one-on-one stuff. It is slow. The days are long. I would go home and not look forward to the next day as much. I don't know. I just didn't have that passion. It felt a little bit like a grind. I just couldn't see myself waking up every day and doing that, to be completely honest. Whereas, interning at that private facility, I would love it. I couldn't wait to get back there the next day. It's knew what I wanted to do immediately.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I it's so cool to hear that, just like talking about the love and the passion that you have for waking up. I think that's probably the most gratifying thing you can get in your professional career. I had a pretty similar like instance coming from research and then going to clinical medicine. It's just I'm so not excited to go into a lab. It's boring. Um, anyone who's a lab rat, sorry, it is. I don't know what to tell you. Uh, can you talk about kind of that moment? It's interesting you had mentioned you almost went to become a firefighter. Like when you're in that moment, you're like, I'm almost ready to quit. I just want to hear what's going through your mind, because that's a big life decision. And I think listeners could kind of learn a little bit about what's going through that thought process and what swayed you away from it.
A lot's going through my mind, honestly, at that point. So it wasn't something completely random. My father's a firefighter. He's a fire captain in PUV Mass. So I've always had that interest in maybe wanting to do that one day, but it was never something that like I'm setting my mind on. I'm gonna be a firefighter. I'm older. Like that's what I'm gonna do. It was just a lot of uncertainty, honestly. It's going through. I don't think I'm gonna get into PT school. To be honest with you, not only that, like how am I gonna afford to get into PT school? Just so many thoughts, and it was just like maybe I should just quit this altogether and just even like stop school, save some money, live at home, and just become a firefighter. So it was just a lot of asking around, and I was lucky enough to have some good mentors and some good professors at Salem State to kind of lead me in some good paths, and obviously some good friends. Obviously without my buddy who owns that facility, I never would have gotten that taste. So just kind of leaning on people I trusted to help make me find that right choice. That was kind of like the biggest thing during that time, but it was mainly just uncertainty, just when you're young, I feel like everything wants to be like quick. You graduate, you want that full-time job, everything, you want to make money right out of college, and you kind of put a lot of pressure on yourself, and I definitely felt that. I just need to give myself time to really figure out what I wanted to do. Eventually everybody finds that. And I'm glad I did, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it's very mature of you to have gone through that, like at a little bit younger of an age. Dan and I are kind of smiling and laughing because we talk about that all the time. Everyone wants the quick route. It's like, boom, I'm gonna get rich. It takes time, and also I'm taking happiness like 10 out of 10. Over the wealth.
100%.
Your health is your wealth. Like your well-being is more important.
Well, I think growing up, it's this perception that by a certain age, you have to have your life figured out. And nobody really tells you otherwise growing up. It's like, oh, by 24, like you need to have a full-time job. Like you
Yeah.
need to be doing this. Like you need to have a girlfriend or whatever. It's like everything needs to be planned out. And growing up, you think you have this timeline and stuff. And then as you get older, you realize it's all kind of bullshit. And there really is no timeline.
Yes.
And I think it's crazy, honestly. But
I'm laughing right now because I think when I was in middle school, and I don't know if you can agree or not, I thought by age, so I'm 25, I'm going to be 26 next week. I thought I was going to be married by like 27, have kids by 20. Like that's
100%.
That's what I
completely agree. Because that's what my parents did. I'm sure that's what your parents did. So in my mind, like, oh, my parents had me when they were around like 26, 27. That's probably what I'm going to do. And it's just the complete opposite. I mean, it's funny looking back at it, but it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so 2020 now, because it's like the world, obviously it's changing. It's like that's not the reality. But to both of your points, man, when you're in middle school, it's like, oh, I'm gonna have 3 kids by 30. Like my life is just gonna be on a fast track. I better be making money. Like that's the thing to do.
Yeah, it
I'm
could be
happy
further
you
from
just
the
brought
truth.
that. It's just so ridiculous as I keep saying it.
No, it is funny. And, the only timeline that matters really is just your own. And,
Exactly.
it's so easy to say you can't worry about other people, but, looking at other people on Instagram, social media, Facebook, you name it, you're always subconsciously comparing yourself. That'll always happen. It's not eliminating that. It's just dealing with it and being able to be mindful and just say, hey, like, let's reel it back. This is you're doing the things you have to do every week. You'll get there. And yeah, I think that's huge. And and very important. So I think it was, like Jake, you said, very mature at that college age to understand that. So yeah, very cool, Steve. And I'm so impressed, like how you have that Division I job and you're running 4 or 5 teams on your own, let alone just helping others. So my question to you is, you go into your buddy's strength and conditioning gym, right? What's that first day like? What's going through your head in terms of, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. How do I gain the athlete's trust? Like, can you just talk about your beginner's mindset, kind of stepping into something new, I guess?
Definitely overwhelming. 100%. Just, I've never been in a setting like that before. So just, I'm one to always ask a ton of questions. Personally, that's how I learn. I learn hands-on, just asking questions. So just going in there and just asking Tad, my mentor, just a ton of questions. Every day it's like, hey, what are you thinking when you program this exercise? Why are you doing this? It was all so new to me, and I really had no clue, to be honest with you. So picking his brain about how he, sets up programs, stuff like that. What's he thinking in terms of this athlete's in season? Why are you doing this? Stuff like that. Stuff I had no clue about back then. And it was just starting to build relationships with the athletes there. I think it's the biggest thing, going up, introducing yourself, getting comfortable with them, making sure that they trust you. Because I think it's the biggest thing between the coach athlete relationship is trust, personally. Even just doing simple things like helping them unrack weights, re-rack weights, stuff like that, helping break down, set up. That kind of shows them that you care. And that's kind of what I did at first when I was just mainly observing and not coaching. Just trying to get them to trust me. That was basically my first couple of weeks to a month, just constantly peppering with questions, trying to become the best coach I could be, helping out when I can, but it wasn't a ton of me personally coaching. I really didn't do a ton of hands-on coaching until I got to UMass Lowell, to be honest with you. That first internship was mainly me just learning and becoming a student, to be honest with you. I learned a ton from that. And obviously you continue to grow as you go, but that's mainly what that first internship was. It wasn't really until I got to UMass Lowell where I started actually learning the art of coaching, which, as you know, it's crazy.
Absolutely. I can expand on it, but Jake, I think you had a question.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, Steve, it's interesting hearing you talk about that, because I think people discount like how much of a new language it might be. And that could sound weird for the listeners, but right, like you're in this different environment. There's a lot of questions that need, because you had said you're asking, why are you doing this exercise? Why are you programming here? How do you create trust with an athlete? Like, how do you do X and Z? I think that's really reasonable and people discount it. But the question I have for you is, when was the, oh, I've grown up, like I'm ready moment? I know you had said at UMass Lowell you started the coaching, but was there ever a time where you said, damn, like I'm really getting this and I kind of feel in the swing of things?
So I think it was probably 2 months into UMass Lowell. My internship there sadly got cut short because of COVID, but there was an opportunity right before we got shut down. One of the field hockey strength coaches, he was also the strength coach of the baseball team. They were traveling to LSU for a weekend, so he was going to be gone. And there was an opening for someone to take over for field hockey lifts. And we kind of had like a staff meeting, who'd be interested in it. And 100%, that's when I really felt like I was ready to dive into coaching. And I offered to run their lift for the first time ever. I've never run a full team lift before. It kind of just helped out here and there. And that was like the first time after I got through the lift where I was like, okay, like I can do this. Like I know what I'm doing. I'm confident. My first ever lift. And before that, you're a little hesitant. Like you offer like coaching cues here and there, but you still like you take a back seat to the primary strength coach. But right running there, then and there, that's definitely the first time I kind of knew that I could definitely do this. And that was definitely a great experience, 100%.
It's pretty fucking liberating, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, Steve. Like what happened with me, and it resonated with me when you were talking about it, is like the best way to learn, and this is kind of for anything, is to just get thrown in the fire and say,
Yeah.
all right, it's yours. Let's see what you got. And people can either I forgot what the phrase is, but either succeed or fail. And most people tend to succeed in that moment when all eyes are on them. And I think as someone who's experienced, such as yourself, can be able to identify future interns and people working under you who you can kind of throw in the fire, see how they adapt, and if they can or can't. And I think that's the best way to identify just coworkers, right? Like put them under pressure, not because you're trying to, challenge them in a bad way, but see, what they're made of, because that's where confidence develops when people
100%.
do things that they didn't think they could do. And I think
And I like I like the environments of my staff pushing me to be the best I can be too. If they're not going to do that, then I don't know if they really care about my progress. And same for me, like I want to push my staff and the people under me the most I can. I think it's all part of progress. You want to be pushed, you want to have that positive feedback, that criticism. I think that's healthy in a working environment, to be honest with you.
Yeah, especially nowadays, you can say a couple things and people freak out, and that we're not going to get into that, but I think strength and conditioning and even just training in general teaches you so much about just discipline and pushing that extra mile and all that. So,
and honestly, I used to be that guy too, though, the guy that would get criticized for something and not take it the best way, maybe not respond the best, but over time, as I've matured, especially in this field, I've learned to kind of embrace that criticism. Okay, like he said that for a reason, or she said that for a reason. Let's get better and like work at it, instead of kind of getting all pouty about it. I used to be that guy a little bit, but I've definitely looked at it in a different view the last couple of years, especially, and take that in criticism as like positive feedback. So always trying to grow in that like regard too.
Yeah, man, you must feel so much more clear-headed doing that. I think that's your maturity is unbelievable, because like it took me so long to learn that. Like these criticisms it's not just trying to attack your character, right? It's really trying to make you grow. And I think anyone who takes that in the wrong light, I mean, I could get as point blank as like, you're wrong, but it's more so like you're being unfair to yourself. You're not ever going to grow if you can't take that criticism and like learn from it. So
exactly,
to anyone listening, I think it's a really valuable lesson, right? Transparency is key. And also just like being honest with yourself it's like the most important value that exists. You need to take criticism in a positive light, learn how to grow, or else you're going to stay stagnant. And I don't think that's fair to anyone. It's not fair to anyone around you, and it's definitely not fair to yourself, So it's a little bit of me getting a little fired up, but it's real,
I haven't
it's real life.
lifted
It's
yet.
true.
I haven't lifted yet today, so I'm getting fired up going after. But I got a question for you, Steve. So, part of being the strength coach, you're that person on, teaching people how to exercise correctly. And we all know that. But some things that people don't know in regards to the coaching is you want to make these athletes better people when they walk out that door, because they don't only represent the college, they represent you and their families, right? So can you talk about, just being a better person, and do you do anything in the weight room to just, or do you say different things to these athletes to help coach them as they kind of grow up throughout their college career? And I know you just kind of got the job, but
yeah.
Can you just expand on that?
Yeah, definitely. I think accountability is a huge part of that, making sure that everything they do in the weight room, they have to be accountable for. Just little things like putting away your weight. So leaving the weight room as good as you came in, like looking wise, making sure all the squat racks are put back, just being accountable. I think so personally, like my coaching philosophy when it comes to that is just trying to actually build relationships with them, because the more you show you care about them personally, the better they're going to respond to you when you're trying to coach them. So I would say definitely I want them to leave the weight room feeling better than they came in. That's one of my big goals. And yeah, I think that's what I kind of have to say about that.
No, and Jake, I'll let you speak if you want. But one other thing I had that I learned the first day being at BC under Russ was, if you want to gain these athletes' respect, or just anyone in general, remember their name. Like, that is the first thing.
It's simple. It seems so simple, but really that's something that's huge. Calling people by their first names, it means a lot. Especially we have a team of 40 kids. Be able to pick somebody out in a group and by name, it actually shows that you care. Oh crap, it's the second date, he already knows my name. Like, they remember that. It's a big deal.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that's massive. We discussed that in previous podcasts, but it's again, for anyone listening, it really goes a far way. You know somebody's name, it demonstrates respect, and also it's only going to make the person just feel like $1,000,000, right? Like
100%.
if you say the person's name, that's an instant relationship. And Steve, you had talked about trust and just making sure that you can create that tie. That's quite honestly, and you can speak on it a little more, impossible without knowing their name, correct? I mean, that's kind of baseline, right?
100% impossible. I mean, to build that trust, you have to have real, legit conversations with them. Not even just about performance or lifting weights, but hey, like, where are you from? What are your actual goals, like, outside the weight room? What do you want to do when you're older? Getting to know them personally. That's a huge part of trust. And a way I kind of do that too is, personally, I try to show up to all my team's practices just so they can constantly be seeing my face. So when they're on the sidelines, getting breaks, having side conversations with guys, getting to really know them on a personal level, that's just as meaningful to me as what they do in the weight room personally.
Absolutely. And so I'm a little curious too, to just shift gears a little bit. And you kind of just got the job, but what does Brian do for, staff development? I think staff development, not only in strength and conditioning, but any organization you're a part of, is massive, right? So your organization or your business investing in you is worth a lot more than what they just paid, right? So what do you guys do? Anything?
So the staff of Brian, we actually got a small staff. It's 3 full-timers and an intern. But every Tuesday we try to have staff meetings. My boss, head guy, Craig Buckley, the man, absolutely love him. Get Chipotle for all of us. We get burritos, get some bowls, and we kind of just talk shop for like an hour. How are things going in the weight room? Not even just with performance-wise or programming, but like, how's the flow of workouts? Should we be changing flow times? Do we want kids coming in for extra time? Just everything. Talking shop about different articles we read, which is so huge, because even though we have jobs, you always want to keep learning. You can never learn enough in this profession. And that's honestly one of the reasons I was so drawn to this profession originally, is because I could literally come into work every day and learn something new, which interests me a shit ton, to be honest with you. So constantly throwing out articles to each other, bouncing different ideas off each other, all good stuff. And then every 2 weeks we'll have presentations. So we have to do a little PowerPoint on an article. We did, for instance, I just did a presentation on velocity-based training the other day. We have some presentations on BFR, some different type of stuff. So just constantly bouncing ideas off each other and feeding off each other. I think that's the best way for staff to grow, to be honest with you.
Can you, Steve, I kind of want to, we're touching on the present. Can you just get more into the nuts and bolts? You had mentioned some of the teams that you're responsible for, but what does a day in the life look like for you? When are you waking up? Who are you training? What are you eating? How are you training? I'm always curious because it seems like the craziest lifestyle ever,
What's your morning routine? Add that in there, because I love hearing people's morning routine.
What's the morning routine, DKP?
Morning routine. Day in the life is pretty crazy right now, to be honest with you. Morning routine, get up 5:30.
Yep.
Have to be in the weight room. So morning lifts start at 6:30. Men's basketball, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Football, Tuesday, Thursdays. So have to be in the weight room by 6:30. Always start with a nice cup of coffee. It's a must, to be honest with you. Obviously. So get to the weight room probably around 6:30. Kind of get settled in. All the coaches, we kind of meet real quickly, probably like 2 to 3 minutes, just going over what we're gonna kind of hash out for our lifts. Then we have a little gap in our break That's when I get to train from 9 to 11. And lately, what I've been doing, I've been mixing it up. That's the great thing about being where I'm at right now. I kind of get to train how I want to. So like every 2 weeks, I don't have to stay on a set program. I kind of like to mix up my exercises a little bit. So recently, I've been doing my men's soccer team's actual in-season program recently, just so I don't know. I kind of like being able to know what my athletes are feeling. Obviously, I'm not running as much as they do all the time, but I want to know how they feel during the lifts. Are they sore after that exercise or that day? Kind of something one of my coaches at UMass Lowell told me. Always when you're programming, you want to know what your athletes are feeling. So I've been doing that. I've been getting a little more into endurance training. Kind of Dan's been giving me that itch. Starting to run a little more. I'm very far away from where he's at, to be honest with you. Nowhere close, but slowly starting to build up miles a little bit. Also, something just last training point before I get to like the rest of my day, but I've been doing sprint timber. So that's something that Mike Tucker, he's I think that he's the head football strength coach at Villanova. He's definitely
Yeah, I was
Villanova,
gonna
but
ask you if you were doing squat
I am
tober
doing.
too.
Oh hell yeah!
All right.
Second year doing squat tober. Last year was my first year.
All right.
Trying to beat my PR. I had a 25-pound PR last year, so I'm trying to beat that this year.
Oh,
But
baby.
it's a big thing at Brian. Actually, I got a sticker right over here.
Let's
Squat
go.
over. There we go.
Oh, hell
So
yeah.
already getting ready for
Nice.
that. Already getting ready for that. Big thing here at Brian squat over. But I've been doing sprint timber. Definitely, I think it's the missing. Sprinting is, my opinion, the missing link in most athletes. I mean, speed kills, 100%. That's the determining factor in sports. Is my guy is faster than your guy. Really, at the end of the day, that's what sports is. Strength's obviously a huge part of it, but really top end. I mean, not even top end speeds. You don't really hit top end speed in majority of field sports, but I think just trying to master programming wise speed and acceleration has been something I've really worked hard on the past couple of months. And sprint timber has been fun, but the rest of my day usually goes just helping out with lifts. So I usually have men's soccer twice a week, softball 3 times a week, volleyball twice a week, golf twice a week. It's kind of what my schedule is right now. Obviously, soccer, volleyball, golf, all in season, but just helping out whenever I can. And it's enjoyable working with a lot of different sports because one minute you'll have men's lacrosse coming in, and Dan played lacrosse. I'm sure he knows the personalities lacrosse players have, especially when lifting. And then instantly you have women's tennis coming in, and just the different type of personalities from a men's lacrosse lift immediately into like a women's tennis lift. It's fun though. I mean, getting to like experience like those different type of personalities, athletes. So I've enjoyed it. And then I usually will wrap up my day around like 6:30, 6:37.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not terrible to be honest with you. I mean, I love it. It doesn't feel like a long day. That's the thing. Going back to like when I was doing personal training this summer, I was a personal trainer at Best Fitness. I'd work honestly similar hours, probably around like 10 to 12 hours a day, but the days just felt like a grind just because I was bored a little bit. I wasn't really passionate about what I was doing. And just, I think it's just so funny how you can work the same hours, but the days feel so different. I mean, I already I can't wait for like my volleyball lift tomorrow. I'm thinking about it, but like when I was personal training, just the days just felt longer. Same thing with like physical therapy a little bit. You weren't juiced up or excited for that next day. Where it's like I'm done with my day here, and I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do the next day. To help my athletes get better, to better myself in my own training. So I think it's just so important to be happy with what you're doing. To be honest with you.
I got a question for you, Steve, and I'm sure you can relate. There were some days where you're walking around and the music's blaring and some fire rap comes on and you just get in this flow state and just coaching cues are coming off clean, concise, fast. You're pointing people out from across the weight room, screaming their name, not obnoxiously, but just like energy is there. You can just feel it.
Juiced up. It's the best. There's nothing like it, to be
So
honest with you. I actually had that during football this morning.
let's go.
They head to Akron Saturday. It's a big game for them. The first time they're playing an FBS team ever, to be honest with you. So it's a huge game for them. last slip before the game. They fly out tomorrow morning, and heavy bench save for them today. They're going heavy doubles, and it was just the energy was there. I mean, the guys are into it, and you just feed off of that as a coach. And the guys are really into it. I mean, there's really nothing else like it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You get juiced up. I mean, the whole room's juiced up, and it's part of the reason why I love this. To be honest with you, that team atmosphere, everybody getting into it. It's awesome.
I'm getting juiced up now, dude. This is awesome.
Yeah, no, I love it.
It's awesome, man. And I think you had said, I can totally understand why the personal training could have felt somewhat like a drag. You seem like you just thrive in the team atmosphere. I'm going to shift you away from the present. I kind of want to hear what's Steve's plans for the future, because I'm always curious what's end game. Or even like, let's talk next year or two. Where are you looking at?
Tough question, to be honest with you. I try to live in the present as much as possible. Obviously, I have major long-term goals, one of which is opening up my own private strength and conditioning facility. Ever since I did my first internship at Bevic Fitness, that's something I've always had my goal of. I want to open up my own facility, build it the way I want to build it. And I kind of already started that a little bit. So recently, I think it was Tuesday, actually, I just launched my website, No Limits Performance, which is going to be the start of hopefully what is my own facility. To be honest with you, No Limits Performance. Kind of this idea I came up with, obviously way back when I did my internship, but it really came through when I was getting my master's at Merrimack. Kind of think about towards the end of the semester, what do I want to do? Do I want to be in the college setting? How long do I want to be in the college setting for if I do decide to go that route at first? And I decided that I wanted to start in the college setting and eventually work my way up, obviously financially, getting myself ready to really make that commitment to go all in on a business like that. So decided to go college setting at first, and then eventually open up my own strength conditioning facility, which has been my goal for a while now and something that I still think about all the time. So started my own online website this week, No Limits Performance. NoLimitsPerformance.online is where you can go find it. But I've been doing some online programs for some good buddies and figured, hey, screw it. Like, I'm writing programs for enough people where let's make some money into it. Let's get the word out a little bit. So when the time comes to finally open up my facility, I already have a good amount of clientele. So that is the end goal. When that will be, who knows? I'm enjoying where I'm at right now, to be honest with you. I can really see myself staying in the college setting for the next at least like 5+ years. We'll see where it goes. I don't know if I really have the interest to be a head strength conditioning coach. I never really saw myself as that guy. More of like an assistant strength conditioning coach, working with some like field sports. But yeah, that's really where I'm at right now. Long-term goals, short-term goals, like where I'm at right now, but always have that long-term goal in mind of opening up my own facility.
It's awesome.
No, I love it. And I think, I'm only a couple years older, but kind of like looking back on my experience, I kind of knew that I wanted to step out of strength and conditioning full time, but I think this is a perfect opportunity for you, Steve, especially having the position you do. Learn as much as you possible, make the connections. I don't have to tell you any of this, but
yeah,
I would be, that stuff will come, and, focusing on now and learning as much as you can and practicing on yourself, like that's going to be the best thing for you. And then you're going to blink, you're going to be making good money. You're going to open up the website even more, and then your facility. And then you're like, wow, where did these
100%.
5, 6, 7 years go? So by the way, if you want any help in terms of the online stuff, more than happy to just be a resource too.
I need it from the pro himself, DKP. Honestly, I need it.
Well, we'll see, my friend.
It was hard making a website. I didn't realize how much of a process it was going to be. I thought it was going to be maybe like a couple of days. It took me like a solid 2 weeks to really get everything down the way I wanted it. It was hard. I never had the time to really just sit down and just bang it out either. I was always like chipping away here, chipping away there. And it was relieving to finally like get it out, because it took me way longer than I thought. It was a process, but no, I'm glad I worked hard at it. So hopefully people can go check it out. Hit me up for some programs if needed. Yeah, I'm really
Show
excited to
notes.
get that rolling though.
Yeah, we'll throw it
Yeah.
in the show notes. We'll put the link in. We got you, my friend. Go ahead,
100%.
Jake.
Yo, from my end, Steve, that was awesome. Just for the listeners, this is a good dude. I would honestly just listen to this and like recognize you've got the right attitude. You're asking the right questions. You've got the right mindset, and you're creating a long-term goal with shorter, attainable goals. Like life is good right now, but you've got that end game. I think that's important for anybody listening. I'm wishing you all the best. Thank you very much for coming on to the podcast. You're highly impressive. Dan had raved about you, but this is great. I'm wishing you luck. Thank you, man.
I appreciate you boys. Thank you.
Yeah,
And Dan is,
go ahead.
I was going to say, everyone listening, Dan is the absolute best. I actually consider you like one of my mentors, to be honest with you. Like I remember the day before my interviews at Merrimack to get into the exercise and science program. I think we FaceTime for what, like an hour and a half, and you just
Probably.
like we did. No, swear to God, you were at BC still, and we FaceTime for like an hour and a half about like periodization, like macro cycles, just everything. And it was huge help. Like honestly, I remember one time we did a Zoom call about one of the programs I made for men's soccer and kind of wanted your feedback on it. So you always been like a huge mentor for me. And I appreciate you 100%. One of the best right here.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it, Steve. I actually do remember that. Did I have the whiteboard out?
You had the whiteboard and everything.
Let's go.
Everything. It was
No,
awesome, to be honest with you.
I love teaching. I love coaching. Like I do it now online for Anna Maria College, just teach a small course, but I love because when you teach and you can understand and coach, like you develop a relationship just naturally, right? And it's fun. I wish more people ask me questions, you know what I mean? And because
Yeah.
one, keeps me on my shit, and two, everyone likes to talk about themselves, and it's fun. Like it's really fun teaching. So yeah, anything I can do to help anyone within the circle move forward, absolutely, 100%. I love doing that stuff.
And I feel the same way. It's inspiring. Like the way you were a mentor to me, I want to be a mentor for the next generation coming up. You know, the interns that are working under me right now and so forth. So love it. Always want to help the next generation and appreciate what you do.
Absolutely. No, appreciate you, man. And last thing I'll say, I saw you on IG with your new business. I was like, I gotta get him on. He's on a roll. He's at Brian. I'm like, who is this kid? We were just talking about how to program like a year and a half ago, right? So
how much we change in a year is absolutely nuts.
It's crazy.
To be honest with you.
So that's it for me. Thank you for your time, Jake. Any last words?
I'm good, guys. Steve, thank you again. And listeners, until next time, peace.
Peace.